welcome again to the final episode of the Sanity Series. Today, I am here with Anh-Minh Nguyen, an assistant program manager at the Steven Stagner Sales Excellence Institute at the University of Houston. Born in Vietnam, Anh-Minh immigrated to Houston and grew up in the neighborhood of Alief. His identity as a gay Vietnamese immigrant in Houston has shaped him into the beautiful human he is today. More than anything, Anh-Minh strives to not only be a role model for the younger members in his community, but also for the younger version of himself. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Anh-Minh. Anh-Minh, thank you so much for being here today on our very last episode of the Sanity Series.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me. I feel so honored that you guys would have me as the season finale. Like, this is incredible. But yes, thank you so much to the team, everyone at the Charles Job for even asking me to do this. I'm so honored.
Let's do it. So let's first get started. Like, tell me more about your childhood, growing up in Alief, in the specific neighborhood in Houston. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so it's Alief, just really quick, because I know sometimes we get weird pronunciations of it. And so a little bit about Alief. So Alief is a pretty low socioeconomic area within Houston, but it's extremely diverse. There's quite a bit of Vietnamese population here, especially a lot of immigrants. We have a lot of the Latinx community, a lot of the African American community, and so it's really diverse, and that's something that I really enjoyed about my childhood, was getting to meet so many different people from so many different parts of the world, and that part to me has like shaped a lot of who I am today, where I appreciate so much of the diversity, and like hearing so many different viewpoints and where people come from, what foods they eat, and that.
Yes, I was gonna ask about that.
Yes.
What is
yeah,
the
so
food
like I
there
gotta
like? I need to hear
yes.
the restaurant, the food scene there.
Oh my goodness, yes. So Alief is kind of in this area where it's like bordering Chinatown a little bit, and then on top of Chinatown we have like Little Saigon, so like a area designated just for like Vietnamese people, and then like even other like Asian culture and like Asian food stores and like little bodegas and things like that. And so it's just like so vibrant, and like there's just so much food all the time, where there's like taco trucks like every other corner that you turn. Like there's so many like Vietnamese hangout spots. There's like, I mean, you kind of name it, they have everything. And so I know for a fact, like if I ever leave Houston, that's probably one of the biggest things I'll miss, is like just the food scene that we have going on.
Yeah, I mean, even with this Vietnamese connection that Houston offers you, do you find it hard to balance this newfound American identity and still stay connected to the Vietnamese roots that you have?
Yes. So, a little bit about kind of how I got here was that I was originally born in Vietnam for a very brief time. I think about not even before I was a year old, closer to that time, my parents immigrated here, so carrying me over. And so to me, I still feel very connected to my Vietnamese identity, especially. I take pride in that. Like, I wasn't this like person born in the United States. So I technically was born in a different country and have lived like a very tiny portion of my life. Not that I can recall much of it, but a part of me just feels really connected in that sense. And I think being in Alief has really helped me understand the distinction between like my American identity and then like my Vietnamese identity, and like almost like merging of the two and figuring out kind of that balance and that rhythm. And it's been interesting, definitely being so connected to the community, but yet being so immersed, because like all these immigrants are like Latin American, Vietnamese American, African American. And so like we all have a part of us that's like connected in that we're American, but we all have like this unique background. So it's like learning that kind of balance for everyone.
Absolutely. So speaking of college, so once are you still around the neighborhood? What was that transition like? Is the college population, the demographic at the University of Houston, something that you're used to?
Yeah, I definitely say the University of Houston and then Bauer College of Business, a little bit more specifically, is pretty reflective of the diversity that's found in Houston. Houston's, I believe, like the #2 or #1 most diverse city in the United States. I mean, the college is no exception in terms of the reflection of that diversity. However, I have not really had a crazy amount of interactions with what is it, Caucasian Americans for the most part. And so that transition into college has been really unique because I came from Alief where mostly everyone was a different ethnicity and not a white American. And so it was very unique coming into college and then realizing that like, oh my gosh, there are all these like white Americans that like are now a part of like my everyday um, life and everyday conversations. And it's like, wow, like it's just so different. And so I'd say that transition has been pretty interesting.
Yeah. I'm curious how, I don't know how often you talk to your family about this, but I mean, in Vietnam, we're a very monolithic country. I mean, like I remember growing up and whenever there was a white person in our, say white person, someone who's
Yeah.
not Vietnamese in our neighborhood, we'll follow them around. We'll just like watch them, take pictures of them. And there'll be this kind of like creature almost that we're just are
yes.
so not as an objectifying sense, but we're just amazed because we've never seen anything that's not like us before. So what was that transition like for your parents or your family members when they moved to Alief and they saw this vibrant community of folks from all over the world?
Yeah, I definitely say they were taken aback for a moment just because, again, like my parents spent majority of their lives in Vietnam and then, you know, one day packed up and came halfway across the world and left everything behind. And I think that kind of culture shock for them was more so of like, whoa, like, who are these people? Like, how did they live their lives? Like, how are they got here? And like, for them, I think one of the cool things is that they try to find a little bit of similarities between themselves and other people. Like my mom's really big into gardening, and I think it's something that's pretty cool with like a lot of people, like a lot of our neighbors. Like we live next door to this Latin American. They're an older couple, and they too have a garden, and so it's like that little kind of bonding moment of like sharing. Like this is a plant that I grow that's like from Vietnam, and they gave us something, and so it's pretty cool. And like my best friend, she's Cuban, and like being able to kind of share with her a bit of kind of like our heritage and our culture via, you know, gardening is like such a cool aspect. And I think for my parents, I was like they're kind of coping mechanisms, so to speak, with like the transition and just like this huge almost like assimilation process.
Are you in your backyard right now with the
Yes,
garden?
I am.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's a lot going on right now, girl.
My mom would be so proud. No, my mom, when I was at home this past summer, she tried to get me into gardening with her, and she was like planting. We stopped going grocery shopping for produce because we're growing everything in our backyard. It's actually very cost effective and it's kind of fun. It's also kind of a mess because like many things growing everywhere, and like our grass is no longer grass, it's just like dirt now.
Yes, I feel you. And then you have no clue like what anything is, to be honest. You're just like, that's something. It's edible, I think.
Like at night she'd send me out and be like, can you go get some mint leaves? And I'm like, which one? And so I would like be smelling like each leaf, like which one smells minty? Oh, that's incredible. That's honestly incredible. And I love that it's provided you this almost connection to your neighbors. Wow.
Right? It's like just, and I think of it as almost like, you know, it's the easiest way in which you can share something with someone, right? It's like making food or like writing someone a card. Like this is, I think, if you think about it, it's like you put so much time, energy, and effort into like growing this one, you know, plant or like having this harvest, and that like being able to share it with someone. I think that means a lot for especially our parents and like people who don't have like this connection of language, right? Because they don't really speak, like my parents don't speak English as much, and neither do my neighbors. And so it's like that language barrier is like something that hinders them. But then like food is another way that you can kind of like go around. It's like a loophole almost, and it's like an essential.
Yeah, food is the universal equalizer, truly.
Yes.
That's amazing. Okay. And speaking of birthdays, yeah, so fun but strange, but also amazing fact. AnhMinhs and I, the reason we like became friends was because we're both born on November 8th, 1999.
Yeah.
Probably at the same time. Most definitely not at the same hospital, but very close, both in Vietnam. We were both born in Vietnam, which is so strange. Like on this day, no, not today, but just one day, both of us were just kind of like, The world is
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah. And like to find each other later on too, I think that's the really incredible part is that like we found
Yeah,
each other what, like 3 years ago when we were just like in like a
high
middle of kind of
school.
like exactly in the middle of high school, and we're just like, oh wow, like what? This is crazy. And to think that like funny how life works, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, you just have such a way of connecting with folks and drawing and just you're like this magnet. I just want to stay updated with whatever it is you're doing. I just want to be in your life, no matter where you go, what it is you might be doing. And so, I'm definitely very lucky too, because I feel like I'm not very good at maintaining contact sometimes, and with you, it feels effortless.
Oh
So,
my goodness. I thank you so much. That's so
yeah.
sweet. No, I feel the same. It's just I don't know, like when people do great work, especially, and you can identify with them, it's like it just feels like a win for the community. And I think we talked about this before. Like every time you succeed, I see it as my success,
Yep.
and I see it as a win for me. And I think
Our
that's
success.
that's how you, I think, at the end of the day, really help your community. Is that if you see everyone as a win, and you see growth as communal growth, and you see like
Mhm.
a loss as like community loss, I think that's how you kind of overcome this
Yeah.
idea of like getting beyond yourself. Because I know I talk to a lot of different friends who are just like, how do you like keep going on hard days? And I think at the end of the day, like if you always just think back, like who are the people who look up to me, or who are the people that connected to me, and thinking about them, that's gonna help keep you going on the days in which you kind of can't look to yourself. And I
Yeah,
think that's so important.
absolutely. Absolutely. So your communities are the Vietnamese community, the immigrant communities. Are there other identities or parts of yourself who you really have formed great communities around?
Yes,
Yeah.
so I identify as gay, so within the LGBTQ plus community, and it's such a unique experience to be a Vietnamese immigrant, first generation college student, and on top of that, to be a gay man in this like
Yeah.
day and age. And so my community, especially my LGBTQ plus community, is so important to me. And like every day, I try to make forward in connecting with the community to learn more about, how I can do my part in helping, or what privileges that I have that I can leverage to help out those who are disenfranchised, who don't have those privileges. And to me, like that is probably one of my biggest kind of life goals or mission, is to like make sure that I'm a positive representation for gay children, or just queer children out there at all times.
Mm. What is that? How does that identity intersect with your other identities?
Yeah, so to be Vietnamese and to be gay is definitely interesting. Vietnamese culture is a little bit more on the conservative side than I would say most cultures in in the Asian side of the world, but also in general, I would say we're a little bit more conservative. And so, having this community, really good Asian American friends here, who typically are all mostly younger, who've grown around, this diverse area, has really helped empower me that like we are making steps. Our youth are making steps, and the next generation is going to be a little bit more accepting than the generation that came before them. And I think I just have a lot of hope that we're making progress towards a lot, not only just tolerance, but like embracing and like the acceptance of everyone.
Yeah.
So um, I hope that kind of answers that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. So if you could tell yourself from the you from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, your younger self, some advice, what would you tell them?
Oh wow, this is
Oh, I dropped it. I was like,
I
okay,
know.
letting it go.
This is a hard one. I would say, it's a little bit cliche, but don't lose sight of who you are, and don't ever compromise what you stand for, what you believe in, and everything about you, because that's what's going to carry you through. That's what's going to make people fall in love with you. That's what's going to make people want to see you succeed. Who are going to give you these opportunities, who are helping you, even if there are a few people who don't like you for it, don't want to give you the opportunities, don't support you. That doesn't mean that there aren't incredible people out there who do. And instead of looking for everyone's approval, find those who do support you and embrace you, and work with them to build that community instead of focusing on the bigger aspect of everyone.
Wow.
I'd say that's something I would tell myself back then.
Thank you. That's truly incredible. And it's something that I will keep in mind moving forward as well. I know that this is the last episode of Sanity Series, and our audience, the purpose of the series was to inspire folks in some way, to stay connected with the world and to humble them, but to motivate them. Do you have any parting words for our audience before we just tied this series up very neatly today?
Yeah, so I think in this environment right now where there's just so much shift, day to day with just the pandemic, in America with, as we approach the election closer and closer every day, even our own lives as we start to approach graduation, as we start to approach these milestones in our lives, I think it's so easy to lose sight of the long reasons, the big whys in life. And I think if you could just always sit back down and tell yourself, like, this is what I do. The reason why I do what I do is for, my family, for the LGBT community, for Vietnamese Americans, for Vietnamese people back at home, for immigrants, whatever it may be. If you can always tie yourself back and piece yourself back into a community at large, I think that will always give you something to hold on to, and it will always keep you moving. Um, and I think, in the word sanity, I think it will help keep you sane, to always recognize that there's work to be done within a community. And as long as you're making strides to take care of yourself first and then taking care of that community,
Yes.
I think that'll always keep you rooted. And for me, that's what's kept me here. And I know probably people are thinking like, oh my God, this 20-year-old's trying to tell me kind of advice. But I think for me, like, that's really what's kept it going. And like, know that your communities can shift, right? Like, you can identify one community and always identify with another over time. And I think being open to changing and growing is always going to help you keep moving in life. And of course, like, there are amazing people like yourself, the Charles team, all the other speakers. And I think just being able to see someone, finding that space and connecting with them, or if they're not there, like, go out and do it yourself. Make that
Your own
representation,
community.
right? Create your
There we go.
community and feel empowered by that. I think
Yes.
that's my biggest parting words with the audience.
Oh, thank you so much, Anh-Minh, for being here today. It's been such a pleasure. I mean, we talked about self-love, self-care. We talked about community, which was a theme that I've always wanted to address and talk about, because for me, that's my biggest purpose in life as well. We talked about your aspirations in fashion and business world. This has just been such a lovely time. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Charm, so much for, reconnecting with me, just even telling me about this idea and then having me on. I think that is just an honor. I'm so honored just to be able to share a bit of my story with everyone, and hopefully someone out there feels a little bit empowered and can walk away from this feeling like they can go conquer the world, because at the end of the day, I think everyone can.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, yes, to our audience of the Sanity series for tuning in. This conversation would not have been possible without your support. Thanks to you, we were able to meet Anh-Minh and 9 other amazing humans each week for 10 episodes of the Sanity series. We hope that this enables you to stay connected and stay grounded amidst this really strange and difficult time. Please continue to stay tuned and be on this journey with us as we launch our next series very, very soon. So I'm signing off for the Sanity series with the Charles. I am Jum, your host. This has been so lovely. Thank you, Anh-Minh, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.